But I think if we're being honest, there are some people behind the screen that you feel it, and you're like,
Yeah.
that person is totally real, and all that stuff,
Yep.
you know. Um, and I've noticed that a lot of people who are coming in and out of chats, etc., are gravitating towards that, which kind of goes back to a hangout I was having last week where some guy was saying that people weren't that bright, they didn't deserve the truth.
Wow.
At
What?
that point, because we're being drunk. Did I have a little lag?
You went blank for a second.
Again, I have the shittiest internet you can
Well, it could have
ever.
been me too. Could have been my end, so.
And it's getting to the point where I'm losing a little light, so I'm gonna have to like run around and turn some lights on. So actually, what I want to do is take a few second break if
Okay.
everybody's cool with that. If you want to stick around to it, you can. Up to you.
No, it's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, you gotta do your thing. This is your show. You know, you gotta do your thing. I mean, I can always come back.
It's if you'd like to stick around. There's not anybody else that I would ask in that I wouldn't have you in at the same time. I just need a second. Truth is, I gotta turn on some lights, and also truth is, guys, I can't sit still that long. I'm sorry. If I were being honest, I would tell you guys I'm a freaking spaz. And so when you see my camera go off and stuff, it's because I gotta get up. I'm sitting here, I'm like this, I'm scratching my head. I'm a freaking spaz. But if I could be honest and say that and maybe take a break and here and there, I'd be in better shape.
You should just do that. I mean, you know what? If they don't want to stay around, if they don't want to hang around, then let them go. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's offensive because if someone's boring me on the channel, I leave. You know, you can always
Yeah,
you can always pop back in. You know.
honestly, everybody that's been coming to the hangouts has been awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm blown away by it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a couple minutes and turn some lights on, get up and walk around, go to the bathroom, and I'll be right back.
Hey, Barbie. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go grab something to eat then.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
All right, I'll see you in just a bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Sweat. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. It won't take me long, but seriously, I have to get up and walk around. I'll be right back. So give me like just a few minutes, and then I can send Pure a link and talk to you guys in chat. So I'm just gonna turn my camera off for a second, and I'll be back. Oh crap, that's not plugged in. Shit. I see, buddy. I see.
Laptop's shite, man, compared to the Mac.
Oh my god.
civilian one. Stream health is terrible. Stream health is terrible. Breathe like fucking Darth Vader. Stream health is terrible. Breathe like fucking Darth Vader. Stream health is terrible. Breathe like fucking Darth Vader.
Okay, that's better. I gotta get up and move around and stuff. Thank you for your patience, guys. I hope the light is better. If the lighting's better, let me know. Because truth be told, I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights on just now. She went to get something to eat, Mark Taylor, but she will be back. So I'm gonna kind of go back and chat and see what you guys are saying. Let me see. Well, I gotta go like way back. I'm seeing some funny stuff already. Yeah. I love you guys, by the way.
So that's still being
Wow,
recorded.
you guys have
Cool.
been fucking chatty tonight. Look at you go. Woohoo. I'm going like way back. I see Boa Kea is in the house. He's Scottish. What's up? You're awesome. Road FM is in the house. I know I'm a Vince is still in here. Millennium's still in here. Yvette is in the chat. And I appreciate it, Yvette. Yvette's been supportive as well. All you guys have. MG42 Pillbox. What's going on? I don't know if I'm going too far back. Um, Evidently, someone is asking Arwen what happened. He said he feels bad about what happened. Um, and Charlotte says we all just need to be friends now. Group hug. And Shroominotti said he went. I'm not sure what you went, Shroom. Um, but he's saying something about a hug too. So that's cool. Um, oh, Boki is asking Arlen what he did. I'm going like way up. Um, Space Lord 3 is saying, I want to make a remix of Arwen. What does that mean? And Space Lord 3, are you DQ David Quinteris? Is that right? Um,
David Quintana.
okay, so there's someone in here named Dick Tripping Balls. Um, and he wants to know, back to my question, why would you guys sit here and listen to this 8-year-old mentality? Well, when did Dick Tripping Balls? Because they want
Can you hear me now?
He says that pure anarchy is the name of his race car he's building.
This is the OBS software that I'm using Channel Q. It's like a broadcaster.
Racing is really popular in the South.
This won't work on my Mac. It's infuriating.
It's like,
But you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
so Daytona 500 is down this way, Darlington Speedway, and then there's like heaps and heaps of redneck racetracks in every town available. Where I live. No, actually, there is a racetrack here. They call it a drag strip, though. I live in the Bible Belt, by the way. So I'm pretty sure. Okay, yeah, alright, I'm gonna send you the link from the message you sent last night. Pure anarchy. So it looks like the link got sent to you.
Maybe that's a bit better. Heavy breathing.
Sniping is wrong? Yeah, I got sniped the other night. And seriously, if you guys snipe
Barbie's
me,
talking about
that's
sniping.
okay because if he asks to come in or whatever, I don't mind. I'm just not in the mood for a bunch of crap tonight. A Life is in chat and says Barbie's accent reminds me of Lou Ann from KOTH. I'm not sure what KOTH is. Shroom, are you telling Pure Anarchy to snipe?
Right. Shroom. Shroom's such a mischievous little Scot.
Alexander Sasha says, King of the Hill. Well, that explains it. I don't watch cartoons. Is it like King of the Hill animated like The Simpsons or whatever? Shroom is cool. Might be. You just never know. So,
I'll turn that up a wee bit. Sorry.
Anarchy's gonna join. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna check my son's food really quick. Hold on.
Macs suck, much like iPhones. The apple is a forbidden fruit. Look what happened to Eve. Lol, he loves me. I don't like Barbie. You're quieter now. Can't hear you as well. That's a pretty cool effect. Aye, Channel Q, I'm just playing around with these things because there's more options on this than Google Hangouts. And apparently Google Hangouts was stopping through YouTube on the 25th. And it seems to have continued for some reason, so I don't know what's going on. Barbie's having a hangout right now, and Pure Anarchy just joined, and it stopped. Yep, Barbie's having a hangout.
And I'm not sure if Pure is talking.
Holy shit, what happened there?
Barely hear you though.
Hey, Jared. Good, how are you?
What I'm gonna try and attempt to do is
Something's totally wrong with this now.
have a broadcast of the Google Hangouts,
Might be better to ask Chat, but I can barely
but
hear
not to
you.
actually
Um,
make a
yeah,
broadcast on the
is
Google
is my
Hangouts.
phone okay or no? I have a short on my laptop.
Which means people
Is
could
this
come in
okay?
here and snipe
Fine.
the Google Hangout, but my
I can't hear you.
broadcast on OBS will still be running.
Excuse me.
So it doesn't really matter
No one's answering
because
me.
this Google Hangouts isn't running through events
I'm
on YouTube.
sorry.
So
No, I just came on because I wanted to tell you,
I think this is
something
what
you
P
had
Mars does as well.
um,
Not sure.
expressed in the chat that kind of came out wrong. One thing I wanted to tell you with everything that happened last night was you got to remember this is your platform, this is your channel, and your live stream.
Alright.
What you do is solely up to you. If you want to invite someone that has an opposing opinion or a
You
different
know.
view of things, then by all means, that's your channel and your prerogative.
Good for Barbie, I'm not going to watch it.
Nobody else's influence should
Like people do on You Know.
uh,
Is this a new thing? You Know. Channel Q. I'm going to get a drink. My mouth is like an Arab sandal.
I think we've lost. No, I appreciate it. I mean, I think, I've said it like a few times. I don't want to surround myself by people that just sit there and say, yes, Harvey, we agree with you all the time. I'm not sure that's healthy. I'm not saying I don't understand why other channels do it. It's just not what I want to do. And it doesn't mean that my opinions are in any way devalued or whatever. It just means that I'm willing to hear what other people have to say. And as long as they come at me like the right way with it, I'm good with it. If that makes sense to you guys. Yeah. You know?
oh, your opinion does matter, but I just happened to come across your show through another channel and checked it out. And when I came in and seen that Arlen was upset and in my opinion, belittling you for how you run your platform and your show. It's absolutely
Channel Q. Barbie McGill had a
who can and cannot
Barbie
go
Mc,
to your
shit.
channel.
Barbie McGill had a hangout last night, and that Pete Shear was on, and that Arwen guy, the Dutch boy, two flat earthers. And I just went on and told Pete what I really thought of him, and Arwen ran away crying, and he came back and told Barbie he was going to slap her. That just created chaos. Oh, it was a terrible hangout before I joined Channel Q, and then I caused a wee bit of chaos, but I liked what kind of came out of it. So now Barbie and several people are talking about how Arwen and Pete Shear just took over our hangout, and they wouldn't let her talk. It was one of the reasons why I went on as well. They just ambushed our hangout, and people like Pete Shear, I've listened to him so long now, and it's like talking to a brick wall when you talk to these people. They don't know any other language apart from force. You have to shout at these people. You need to shout over them because they'll babble and babble and babble until the subject doesn't mean anything anymore. So people like Pete Shear, I did go in with heavy-handed tactics, but it was totally deliberate. Certain people need certain tactics, and I think Pete Shear deserved everything he got from me. I'll let you listen to what they're talking about.
From other hangouts, he can say that
It was Barbie McGill's last night's hangout called Clear in the Air. and it was the last hour Channel Q. Well, the last half an hour if you check it out. It's been quite popular actually.
Very passionate and heated about a particular opinion when it has to do with things with the military. I have a military background. I've served
Okay.
overseas. I've done things, and I've done things for my country that I'm very proud for. And yeah, he has a personal opinion of me. That doesn't mean if I give you my word that I'm going to come in here and be respectful, I will be respectful. I'm a man of my word, and that's the bottom line.
I mean, that's cool. And you might catch me on a night next week where I'm not so concerned about if somebody wants to give me a little bit of shit. I mean, if someone wants to give me a little bit of shite right now, they can. But what I'm saying is that I'm kind of to the point where I'm ready to really get pissed about it. And so I was kind of hoping for a cool type deal tonight. But Requiem for a Dream is in chat. Requiem used to give me a really hard time, but now Requiem is quite cool. So that's awesome. And Curve, I'm sure these are people you actually know, yeah?
Yeah, I know Kurt Water. I've been on many panels with him. Very intelligent person. You know, the panels that I've been on, there's times we don't agree with each other, and we are honest enough with each other, and have spoken enough that we can correct each other. And if you can show me or explain evidence that maybe I haven't looked into, and it changes my
See me?
But yeah, you know, I've heard
Hello?
all the arguments. Seriously, I've heard all of them.
I don't know how to use this thing.
Hey, is there someone in chat?
What's that?
Is that you, Channel Q?
Yeah, that's me. I'm cute.
Ah, nice one. Good to see you.
You put the thing in there, so I figured I'd just click it because I'm
Aye.
not doing nothing.
Why not?
Hi.
What you been up to?
You probably can't see me because it's so dark.
Oh,
Huh?
what you been up to? In your busy
Working.
schedule,
That's all I really. Yes, I work a lot.
do you?
Yeah.
Are you a flat earther by any chance?
Oh.
Here we go, the dreaded
I say
question.
this is what I say about the flat Earth. This is what I say. I say the world kind of. I feel like the world needs this argument. Like people, what people base their beliefs on needed to be tested, and I thought that the flat Earth was going to do that in kind of a like non-hostile way,
Mm-hmm.
but it just seems to keep getting very hostile, anyways. You know
You,
what I mean?
you're right, because that's the way I seen it. I thought people can believe what they want to believe at the end of the day,
Right.
but the way it's turning out now, it's getting more like aggressive. Like I'd be worried if I was a flat earther and showing my kids the flat earth and putting it on YouTube and things like that. I'd be worried that the child protection might come to the doors. Because I don't know, Channel Q, what's your real name?
Dominique.
I don't know your real name, just a name I can, instead of calling you Channel Q.
You can call me Dominique. That's
Dom,
my name, just like that saint that you researched.
cool. Aye, Dominique. Aye, the way I was speaking to somebody about it, and it would appear harmless at first, but if the flat earthers admitted it was kind of like a religion, I think they would be left alone because you're allowed kind of like religious. Like there's a Scientology
Yeah,
church.
because people respect religious beliefs, like
Ah,
as a given. People respect
yeah,
people's religious beliefs.
yeah, but there's certain flat earthers that aren't. It isn't. It doesn't seem to be that way. It seems to be more activism and all about taking over
The
governments and
gun.
authority and things like that. And it's becoming like a militia. It sounds extreme, but it just to me it's becoming more like militarized. Um, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that people like okay, so like there's the internet, and people usually use the internet to just be really, mean to people that they don't like, even if they only just didn't like them for 1 second. Then they just let loose on them because for some reason the internet gives people the safety to think, hey, I can take all my bullshit out on somebody.
Hmm.
The flat Earth isn't immune to that kind of internet.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, but you find yourself. Well, this is a situation I was in. I was actually a sympathizer for flat Earth. I liked how it was challenging me to look at my world harder. Like I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah,
But
when you say that the world is a globe, do you really know why? That's pretty good. It's pretty good for people to try to have that kind of knowledge in what they say is their intelligence, that they can have like that confidence.
hmm
But all the ugliness is just like it just seems like there's nothing else to talk about anymore. So everybody's just gonna get ugly until it all just explodes. Apparently.
what do you usually listen to when it comes to flat Earth information?
Well, when I started with flat Earth, honestly, there wasn't any flat Earth. The flat Earth kind of exploded at the same time that this really strange thing happened to me, because I was working on this book that I've been writing for a long time about like, because I studied anthropology. I wanted to be an anthropologist, and so I was writing this book for a long time about myths and just how myths get started, how people believe in them, how the same myths have been, repackaged and resold year, century after century. And I was working on so then as part of this book, because it was gonna be like a video book. So I wanted to include pictures of, if I was talking about Mithra, I wanted to have a picture of Mithra. If I was talking about Zeus, I wanted a picture of Zeus. You see
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So I wanted a picture of the Earth from space. So I was scouring the internet trying to find the actual picture, one that didn't say it was a composite, one that didn't say it was, altered in any way by any kind of Photoshop or computer. I couldn't find the photo. And then I kind of just stumbled into flat Earth because of that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because then I was like looking for this globe picture, and then I went into this
group of people that were kind of discussing things, and I was like, does anybody know where you can find this actual picture from the, of the Earth from space, so I can get a copy of it for my book?
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I knew, there was just all this flat Earth stuff exploding everywhere, and Globebusters started right around there.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, it was kind of like I talked to Duran a little bit, or Jaren, or whatever his name is. But he's not a very cool human being, in my opinion. Like, some of the exchanges I had with him were very, like, obnoxious and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have kind of a friendship, I would say, with Math Powerland, or Boylan, whatever you want to call him,
Uh-huh.
and Jake Gibson, Flat Earth Asshole. I would consider them, acquaintances that I've talked to on a pretty frequent basis.
And
So,
do you reckon they guys are still quite strong within this scene, like with the videos they're
oh,
producing?
well, I think, yeah, because they both have, like, their own kind. I think they have their own fan base separate from everybody else. So that's always they're always going to have that group
But
to
they
themselves.
two guys are like the charismatic guys in the flat Earth. I've got to say, like they're
Yeah,
the guys with the looks, they're the guys with the charm.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
could sell ice in Antarctica, and they
Well,
guys.
maybe they can sell ice. We'll see. We'll see if their T-shirts move. We'll see.
But
Because they do have shirts now. And Math has got the whole power line thing where he'll actually, you can send him a pair of pants and he'll stain them with paint and send them back to you. So we'll see how that goes.
have you sent a pair?
No, I have I own properties. I'm like a landlord, so I'm constantly having to fix things and paint things. So I already have clothes that look like that.
Cool.
They're my work clothes. I do my remodeling work in those clothes. You know.
So did you ever publish your book, or is it still an ongoing
Oh, it's
thing?
not done yet. It's not done yet.
Uh,
It's because I'm starting from the beginning. With the very first written language and the very first, cultures, and I'm going all the way through to modern time. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? All the way through it all. And I'm trying to include as much real information. And then I'm trying to make this video, and I don't really have very good video editing software.
Mm-hmm.
And my Windows program is XP, so I'm kind of getting locked out of the internet because I got to upgrade to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So just some issues, and I don't have a lot of time for anything. So, you know.
Right. Well, does your book kind of play with the ideas that certain religions have came from ancient religions and things like that, like
Well, yeah, a lot of the stories and stuff. Yeah, like, just like the zeitgeist thing says
mm-hmm.
that Jesus is Horus, and they're all the same story told over and over again with little changes for the sun god. Yeah, and because that's not untrue. That is true. You know what I mean?
What kind of reaction do you get off the Christians when you say stuff like that? Do you ever say it on an open platform or?
Well, I don't really have any open platforms with Christians besides my Facebook page, and I tend to quote a lot of things from the Bible because I'm kind of a smartass. You know what I mean? So they might think that I'm real Christian, but I don't usually. I'm more of a Satanist in the fact that if you don't ask me for my opinion, I don't give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, that's how I do it. So if you want to make assumptions about me, I let you have them. If you don't want to ask me directly, then I don't answer.
Is that the way Satanists roll, kind of thing? Like if you don't ask,
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
like,
get.
well, yeah, it's kind of just like one of their laws. They have like these laws. Like, I've read every Bible that exists in this world, in this realm. Every Bible that there is, I've read it, and I've tried to study each religion. Just enough to feel like I authentically understand the basis of that religion,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And that's, Satanics. They have like 9 laws, I think it is, and that's one of them. You don't make explanations for yourself. You don't share your opinion if you're not asked for it. But I
Just,
wouldn't really call myself a Satanist.
I was going to say, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a good thing,
Yeah, I
just
do.
to
I think
keep your mouth
that
shut unless you're
people
asked?
Well, I feel like, people say opinions are like assholes, and we keep our assholes in our pants unless somebody asks to see it. So, you know what I'm saying?
I suppose, but if I lived my life by that law, I wouldn't be here right now. I suppose, because I feel like
I'll
some.
give you an analogy. You know,
Go ahead.
people always say that.
All right, an
People always say,
analogy. I think people get
yeah,
mixed up with analogies and like metaphors and things like that on Facebook too. YouTube. I hear a lot of like analogies and metaphors and nothing really rooted in reality. It's like in my eyes, I hear
yeah,
A lot of analogies, clever analogies. I think Morgile's one of these guys that you just
Yeah,
constantly
I would call him like a king of analogy and like his baseball analogy. It's like every single time you see him, he has to make that analogy. Write a new one, dude. Just please write a new one. You know?
and at the same time they're sitting there watching NASA videos, watching the space station, and they're the guys at that baseball game they don't like. You get what I mean? And it's like they don't like getting attacked, but they're
Yeah.
quite happy to attack NASA and stuff like that. And that's fair enough. I think it's good to question NASA because I don't think NASA's 100% legitimate. I don't.
But the thing with NASA is like it's the one that people just they really don't bother. Like they want to know what you're doing with the tax money when it comes to charity and libraries, medical care and welfare, but they don't care what they're doing with the space exploration. So it can be slipping right through the cracks on everybody.
Mhm.
They could be doing all kinds of things we don't know about that are fraudulent because we're always too busy paying attention to or the people on welfare ripping me off. Is it this politician ripping me off? What if it's just everything is just being filtered or what's the word laundered through NASA? We wouldn't know because we just take it for granted.
Mhm. Well,
We give it way too much credence and trust.
Well, I think it's
You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I think it's kind of balanced. I think it's like they've got amazing telescopes. You can see they've got these ground-based radio telescopes, and they're amazing technology. And there's nobody really on this
You broke
planet
up
that.
so much I didn't even hear. I can't comprehend what you're saying because you're breaking up like every other word.
Oh,
So try again.
sorry. I was just saying that NASA do produce really good technology, like the radio telescopes that look into the galaxies and things like that. They have got amazing technology and scientists, but this stuff about going to Mars and landing on comets, and I think
Yeah.
they make these stories up to get more cash to pay for these big telescopes. I think sometimes they have to make science sound sexy so they get the funding. I don't think they're lying all the time. I think they are doing stuff. I think there is satellites, and I think they can go so far, but like to say they're going to Mars without trying to test it on the moon first. I would have built a base on the moon first to see if we could build some kind of structure. Or I just think this Mars stuff is so far fetched. It's hard to believe it.
I do think that the moon landing was faked. I do think that they faked it in a TV studio out of desperation because of Russia, because of other things that were going on at the time, and they just wanted to cover everything up real quick. And so I think that they did, and I think it was a mistake.
There was
I
plenty
do.
of motivation. Well, what appeared to be plenty of motivation with the whole like arms race with Russia and things like that. So it appeared there was a
Yeah,
lot of motivation to fake it. But
there's definitely motive.
when you look at the big picture, do you actually think that Russia and America were against each other, or were they just playing the game? So why would
You
they?
wanna really get
If
into what I think? I don't think there's any difference between one country and another country. I think, with the exception, any country that's part of the Federal Reserve. If they're in the Federal Reserve, then they're all the same fucking country.
well,
But if they're not involved with the Federal Reserve, if they don't go through the Federal Reserve, if they don't buy into the petrodollar, then they are a different country.
Mhm.
But all of those countries that are in the Federal Reserve and do the petrodollar thing, they're all the same country. That's what I think.
Well,
That's what we've evolved.
Well, the way I used to look at it was America versus Russia, the Cold War, the commies against the capitalists, things like that. And when I was into the whole Zygus stuff, and then after a while I realised that the Russians were just in hand with the Americans, the British. So that goes back to me thinking the motivation to fool the Russians. Like, was there like the motivation disappears if you're hand in hand with the Russians? Why would you be racing against them if you're partners with them?
The sad state of affairs, though, about human life, it's like we're so much more motivated by our hate than our love. It's just you just made me think that of it. Whatever. I should probably try not to swear so much too, right?
No. This is late night for everybody. So, well, for me, it's late night. Everyone's. You can swear all you want. But like I
I
said,
usually grab the F bomb quite a bit.
no, I don't mind. This is an adult show. I don't encourage children to come near this place. But like I said,
Princess Skeptic likes the F bomb.
oh, there's Princess Skeptic. How you doing?
Hey, GD.
Nice to speak to you.
Absolutely nice to speak to you all the way from Canada. It's my
Love-
first time.
Great stuff. Great
I-
to see you. How's
I-
Glenn?
He's doing awesome. He's in the background, and it's me today.
That's cool. I was expecting him to jump on because I kind of sent him a message a couple of days ago saying we should hang sometime. So I was kind of
He
expecting
definitely.
him.
Yeah, I knew you were, and I thought I would kind of jump in. He had to go out for a bit, so I didn't actually. I've never been on a hangout, so I didn't really know if I could talk or where I'm at here. Hello to your guest or whoever's talking. I don't know who else that
That's
is, but
Dominique.
hey,
Yeah.
Dominique.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Um,
It's so dark in
Dominique,
yeah,
have you heard of Flat Earth Vancouver?
Yes.
This is
I saw him. I
this.
saw him on a few hangouts, maybe one with you or with Validation Boy and then maybe on Glowbusters. So, yeah.
This is Glenn's missus, other half.
Okay.
The better half, I'll say.
The better half. So I take it you never fell for any of it. Like, I take it when Glenn was full blown flat Earth, you were still saying in the corner of his ear, "Nah, there's something not right about this."
Oh, the corner of his ear. Well, I would say much more than that. I actually, I have an open mind, so I actually looked into it quite a bit. And my first stance on it was definitely cult behavior. And the second stance on it is how come if only a certain amount of people believe in something, and then if you're looking at research to disprove or approve or find some kind of evidence, my rationale was I couldn't find the evidence they were providing, and the evidence they were providing did not make sense in what I felt was correct.
Mhm.
And the more I looked into the research and just spoke just with other people, I felt that it was a hoax, and it was more about the money, maybe the fame. I'm not really sure. I'm not a social media platform person myself much,
Mhm.
but I definitely have been in the last, I'll say since December. I've stepped up to the plate, and I find that I get so frustrated and angry because of all the deceitful lies. And what I feel is they won't let the, I call it the outsiders, meaning myself, in too much.
Mhm.
For the fact being is they keep the families separated.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I've really noticed from Glenn being FEV BC now to Earth Vancouver. We're back in our motion again together as a couple. Whereas I found when he was flat Earth, um, there was definitely brainwashing and definitely anger issues. And I tried to resolve that in more of a talking way. But yes, I was getting quite, I'll say angry. It would be the word.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if like little rifts come in between if you're so strong about one side and he's quite strong about the other. It's only natural that you'll have little conflicts. But that's crazy, eh? Like you probably have your little argument, walk away and go, "Fucking, we're arguing about fucking flat Earth." I mean, it's
Exactly.
like,
And those damn clouds, they were getting me. I'll tell you, come on. You said it straight out, and it's true. If there was a problem, or having these chemtrails as they call them and such, come on, the plants would be dead first, the little animals would be next, the insects and everything else, and then it would be us.
mhm,
Like they just don't use rational, logical sense when they
mhm.
speak,
But the trails
and
do
that's
create
just
clouds. That like I've seen them creating clouds, but I've not
oh,
seen things dying
definitely.
around the clouds. Or
No, no.
but
Definitely not. I mean, come on, when they spray pesticides, you can see how the insects die and different things around the crops.
mhm,
So if they were spraying something to, I'll get say humans, well, the first things that would be affected would be vegetation, and then the insects, and then the animals first before us.
mhm. Oh, it's just the whole
So
the chain right from the bottom to
yeah,
the top. You would see somewhere being affected. I was even out looking at the trees. That's how sad I was. I was looking at the trees to see if there's any effect on them, and there was certain trees that were dying, but there's other things that affect trees to make them die.
exactly. Like insect, we have different ones up here in Canada where we'll have like the pine beetle, and it'll just go through hectares and hectares of forests,
Mhm,
and the trees will all die. But it's due to insects, and they would just there's different periods, like 7 or 5 year periods that insects, evolve or come back, whatever they call it. You know, so it's just they're not looking into all factors, is what I say.
What I find hilarious as well, Princess. What was your name again? Your
My name's I'm Maureen.
Maureen. So we've got Maureen
Yes,
and
yes,
Dominique. The thing I
yeah.
found with flat Earth is what I'm hearing a lot right now is that we're all brainwashed. We've been just we're just ate everything we're given and we're so brainwashed. But they're the ones that are actually just listening to YouTube videos and not listening to anyone that's trying to offer them evidence. So it seems to me that they're the ones that are just taking the brainwashing. It's like they're not the ones that aren't being open-minded. Like I was open-minded enough to look into flat Earth and actually defend flat earthers to a certain degree because I thought the idea was it was innocent enough. You could innocently look into flat Earth and then discover the real shape of the Earth, and that's cool. But when you start going around selling it and pushing stuff like alternative medicines, drinking piss, when you start saying that,
Yes.
when you start saying
Saying
that this,
human beings don't need to eat at all. That
uh,
eating, we don't need to do that
I
at
wasn't
all.
fresh air or energy. We're just like plants and
No,
stuff like that.
Dave Murphy was the one saying that. He said human beings don't need to eat. We just think we do.
Oh, okay.
He's came out with some crazy stuff. He said he cut his he can you can cut your
And I thought he was a sane one
I
until he said that.
well he seems legitimate, but he said you can cut off your limbs and rub piss on it and it'll grow back. You could cut off your hand, rub piss on the
We're like
stump.
starfish. We're like starfish now.
But
Wow, I think I'm sticking to the globe for sure for that one. But even a guy I call Quacky Luminous, I don't know his.
quasi luminous.
Thank you. Okay, I make up these names because half of them I don't know who the people are. But
That is better.
just
It
just
really
even
fits
that.
well.
Thank you. Just even the bit I watched. You have to think of young people watching this and people that
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
maybe having problems in their life,
Hmm.
and it brings them to a different state of mind where they feel maybe what he's doing is right, and meanwhile they're hurting themselves with
Oh,
self-infliction, and
yeah.
that's the
Th-
that's the
There are
parts
people
that
on my Facebook who think that that man is next level. And I am
that's
constantly getting in discussions with them and sharing things about other sides of like that one that Muscle Car put on with him being arrested. Be
yeah.
like, this man is just crazy. He does a lot of drugs, makes a lot of bad decisions. He's not a genius. He's not the next level. He's not the evolution of man. If that's what the evolution of man is, count me out now.
Please, please. I think we better run away to the
Whatever
forest.
evolved spiritual enlightenment looks and acts like, count me out. I'll just stay mundane and close minded then.
Well, the way I was thinking about it, and it sounds dramatic, but I was starting to think, is this becoming a bit dangerous for people? Like just
Yeah.
mentally for them within their relationships, socially, and just
Well, I think if it does, then the mental illness already existed, and this just exasperated it.
I
I
suppose.
agree with that, and at some part. I also feel that some people, when they're having a hard time in life, it's easy to what do I want to say? Pull into a different facet of life, and then
Fantasy.
stream. Yeah, no, not that. No, say if they have say if they're feeling depressed or something's happening in their life, it's easy then to go into that group and and then start to believe in what they're telling you. I just find that in life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh shit! Are you still there, guys? All right, guys. You were in my call there.
So this is a different hangout for you, Jed. Absolutely, for a fact, you have two girls on here that I don't know. Have you spoke much with? Is Dominique? Have you and Jed chatted? Do you have a
we
avatar that I would know you from a name or something?
no, I'm probably not too popular on YouTube.
Okay, well I'm not either.
I would
So
like to
welcome
have
to
a
the club,
small
honey.
piece in my band.
Oh,
What's
okay,
that?
okay. I said I'm not too popular myself. I believe because I'm been very straightforward and voiced in my opinions as of late, and the reason I felt propelled to do that, I'm going to call it, is it's, it, I just feel like the fraud is so vast among YouTube, and it's hurting a lot of people, and it hurt our relationship even to a fact that I'm so happy that Glenn, due to the fact of finding his own self, I'll say first of all, and then listening. That was the second key, listening, and
Mhm.
then taking that next stance to figure out. Because I would never force him. I mean, he's not a person. I wouldn't want a relationship like that. But he definitely needed to find his own. And thanks to yourself, GD, and to Tim, and to different. I think there was a few other ones. I don't know their names, and to myself even,
Mhm.
and then to his own self, recognizing what happened to him. So. I'm going to say you were right when you said once, not a lot of them get out. And I'm certainly myself so happy to see him do not a, I'm not going to say a complete turnaround because that wouldn't be true, but
Hmm.
at least to distinguish the facts from the fake.
Yep, yep. I'm glad to see Glenn. But I knew Glenn was never lost. He was always questioning. He was always questioning.
Yes.
I would never look at Glenn and think he's a lost cause. There's certain people I
No.
looked at like
No.
Martin and certain people.
Yeah.
There's no point. It's just like a religious fanatic. You can't convince him any
Exactly.
other different. But with Glenn, I knew there was a wee glimmer of hope. And if you could just
Yeah.
I knew he was going to keep looking if you presented the evidence properly, not try to
Right.
sell it or
Right.
anything like that. So always knew there was hope for Glenn.
I definitely knew it too when I met him, and I still do. You know what? We all learn in different ways, and we all sometimes take, I'm going to say, information and don't, what do I want to say? Don't really look further into what we should be and just take it for what it is. Whereas
Hmm.
he learned that lesson now. I'm going to say that.
Maybe that's the problem with society in general, that they're so quick to react when they see certain news articles. It's just instant emotional reaction without thinking. Without thinking logically, why would they do this? Where's the motivation for this? Who could be behind this? It's just instant. It's like instant reaction. So people want to go to war instantly without rationally thinking about stuff. It's like, I think it's a human thing. To be honest with you, Maureen, I think it's like something that's built into us. If a lion jumps out the bushes, you're not going to stand and think about it. You're just going to run. It's your when you're scared or you've been traumatized, you'll just act through instinct. And I think sometimes the information we get as humans, certain people can process it better than others, and certain people just act automatically with can irrationally through emotions. And I think a lot of flat earthers fall into that bracket where they're
Yeah.
easily emotionally manipulated.
Yeah, like there's
Yes,
already
that's
mental
what it is.
illness present, and the flat Earth is just a good like fly trap for that particular kind of mental illness. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. I've done it myself. I've reacted emotionally and then took a step back, like within a millisecond, and said to myself, you know what? I try to always look at three, four, five, six, seven sides of things, and then my own belief and opinion, of course, after that. But we all are, of course, human beings. We want to react emotionally, and when we do, at times we make mistakes. But I think it's in honor to us, we should just either apologize or walk forward with what we believe in our cause. So that's the fact thing
You're
for
you're
me.
totally right that like we should, when we do recognize our mistakes, like address them and be honest about it. And
Exactly.
like I think that's a lot of that's I think that's the thing with flat earthers too, that when they see something that goes against their belief, they just shut it off. It's like they just sweep it under the carpet. It's like having a tumor and just ignoring it. It's eventually it's maybe going to consume you or kill you. And it's hard to get into the minds of these people, to be honest with you. Like, but
Oh,
at the same time, I was nearly there myself, and this is maybe why I'm on this sort of again this journey to try to expose them, because I feel I was betrayed in a way. I don't know why. Like maybe Glenn feels the same, that we felt
yes.
we got wrapped into something we believed in at first, like just no believed in, but. I was looking at the NASA stuff, and when there was this group of people, these flat earthers saying NASA's fake too, I thought, here we are, I've got to belong in. Like, I'm not a flat earther, but these people are singing the same stuff as me, so I thought I would
Right.
fight their battles too. But at the same time,
Mm.
because I didn't believe in flat earth, I was getting attacked from them as well, and I found myself in that weird position where I was like, I wasn't fully supporting NASA stuff. I was still looking into that, but I wasn't convinced with the flat Earth. So I found myself just getting beat from both sides. It was strange.
I
Yeah,
seen
that's
that
kind of like
actually
what happened
happening.
with me. Is I got it, into the flat Earth, and I tried to take it like, seriously and be legitimate with it. But then it was just all this, so I just became like this troll.
I hear ya. I hear ya.
Aye, we all
Because
become that.
I'm like, you people don't listen anyways. And at first, when I was trolling, like when I was taking it legitimate, I was kind of trolling, but it was more like in a way where I would just like say stuff and it would kind of catch on. So a lot of the things that are the flat earthers say are like things that I was typing into chats that kind of caught on.
Mhm.
And then eventually people started, like Jaron turned against me, and then like 20 people followed suit with him, and they were attacking me on my Facebook and everything. So then I was like, okay, forget this. So then I just started trolling, but on a different aspect where I'm like just trying to poke at them, so, like, so that I could get a reaction out of them.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what the way I
So,
felt as well. It was like I was making comments, my comments were getting deleted. I was making videos and they were attacking me, and the more they attacked me and the more they deleted me, the more I wanted to speak out. So they created the monster over here. I was
yeah,
I was willing to go along with them and question authority, question pseudoscience. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think he's a clown, a total clown.
yeah, me too.
He makes
Yeah,
science look ridiculous. He makes real science look stupid
he's a
and
guy with a junior
clown-like.
high, man. He's a guy
Agreed.
with a junior
Agreed
high.
with that.
So when people in the public see these clown-like figures talking about pear-shaped Earths, it's only natural for them to go, what, pear-shaped? Then look at the pictures, and then from there they're like, wait a minute, these pictures are composites, and then one thing leads to another, and it seems to me that these people like Neil deGrasse Tyson started this shit. They're the root of this problem. If they weren't so clown-like, um, and
Yeah,
ch-
right.
and chose their
If
words
people didn't take
properly.
them so seriously and think that they like Bill Nye's not even a real scientist, everybody's just figuring that out now. It's 2017. Come on,
Well,
you know.
I was thinking about that. If they had legitimate scientists, guys, boring as fuck, like just sitting there with their lab coats on, going, yes, that wouldn't be
That's amazing.
sexy. That wouldn't be sexy, and they
Exactly.
wouldn't get any
Right.
funding. So they need these guys like with their fancy waist jackets
Characters.
on
They
and
need characters. That's the thing.
exactly characters. And but the thing is, these characters, maybe there's a lot of truth in what they've got, but they kind of represent cartoons, so people can't take it seriously. It's like,
Yeah. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson actually helped me turn more of my Facebook friends into globe questioners or flat earthers than any flat earth video I
yep,
ever shared.
hmm
Just trashing Neil deGrasse Tyson on the flat earth platform on my Facebook turned more people onto the idea of flat earth than any flat earth video I ever shared.
yep. Same with
Swear to
Bill
God.
Nye. You could say to people, well, Bill Nye, you get all your information from him. He was an actor for a children's program, and you could actually go through his history and go, Jesus, he was a bit of a clown, that guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
a tool. Total
aye,
tool.
aye. So
He did anything for money.
all
Anything.
all
But
these,
now he's selling laundry detergent.
yep. Well, all these faces for pop science is making flat Earth seem more legitimate. Uh,
Exactly.
it's
I
crazy.
agree with that. We have a scientist
Yeah, when
here
the
who's
basketball stars come out and say something, and then everybody gets all excited, and they're like, "Now, finally, the flat Earth is going to break out into mainstream." And it's like, no, they're probably just making fun of you guys. You
mhm.
know.
I agree with that too. We
So,
have a scientist here by the name of David Suzuki. Have you heard of him?
Yep. Japanese. He's a Japanese guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. He's on all the
Yeah.
universe programs and stuff like that. And he had.
yeah,
They didn't have robotics. He was a robotic guy, was he not?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, he was too at that. He was more into the nature, though. I would say would be more his first stance, if I say that.
Is it
But
AI
you
and
know
all this
what?
stuff he talks about? He talks about artificial intelligence and transhumanism and that kind of aspect, more than the space and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So even just growing up, that's who we would have been more watching or taught by.
Hmm
And when he finished his TV show, he actually came out and said one time that he didn't believe in everything he spoke about, but he had to due to the funding. And that was difficult to even process when you put a lot of your respect or your intelligence or your belief into the information they're giving you, and then for him to come out, but at least it's honesty. And that was my first um, information I gave to Glenn, actually. So look at these scientists who are saying yes, they have been, have to fudge up the numbers or whatever they do in order to get funding. So we really have to, as human beings or ourselves, look into everything and
hmm
not believe everything, but at least have some
Like,
respect for science.
well, like those recent planets that were discovered orbiting another sun that was nearby. They're meant to be like 4 Earth-like planets, and you seen the photographs of them, the real-time photograph. It was like 4 pixels, but when you see
Yeah.
the recreation, it was like these 4 Earth-like planets, and kind of blue and green, and you can see all the colors on them. And you're like, are these guys just creating this so they can get more funding? For maybe they might
that's
be real
exactly what he
planets. They
said.
might
He
be real
said.
planets with stuff on them, but they have to make it look sexy and just to grab the public's attention to get more money. Like, I think there is a layery truth somewhere, but it seems to be buried under all this sexiness. like just the
That's what made. You know what? You hit. Yeah, that's exactly what I find, and it's that's why you have to dissect and you have to use rational and logic and also belief and faith, and then you go on from there.
So,
The flat earth,
so
sorry.
where does your belief in like space and like where does it go for you? How far does it go? Like satellites, moon landings, trips to
Yeah.
Mars? How
Oh,
far? Where do you draw
okay.
the line? Where do you draw the
Okay.
line with this space?
Okay. So this is just my belief and my opinion, of course. So I do believe in space.
Mhm.
I'm I'm having a problem right now deciding between the two factors. I feel like the landing on the moon was faked due for funding and for the countries to be whatever they are against each other or to beat each other. I do believe in satellites though, and I
Mhm.
don't believe they've traveled to space yet. That is my, if I say opinion, I guess. But definitely satellites, and I also truly believe, being in Canada and just with the world events, this is where my frustration once again comes into, is where they're saying like things didn't happen, like 911 and all these, and that's where my anger level proceeds, because I've known people that were unfortunately lost people in that.
Mhm.
So it's those kind of things. So where I believe, yes, I do believe in space, but I just believe that we haven't actually gotten there yet, and I do believe in satellites. But to get to the moon thing just kind of troubles me, and that's where I think people can, they take that little piece of thread and then they run with that, right?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's, like I said, my opinion only, but
And with what Jed said about it being, just 4 pixels and then they blow it. There's a lot of holes in what NASA does that can be exploited for flat Earth proof.
right.
Definitely.
And of course it's funding, it's money, it's, and that's how they filter their money out into different programs. They have to hide it under something. So unfortunately, I do believe there is composite. Not unfortunately. I fortunately believe there's composite photos, but I don't believe they've actually been to the moon.
Mhm. I find
I
it
don't know.
hard.
What do you?
I find it hard as well, especially when the original footage was just lost. I just find that baffling. Like,
Yeah.
without even
The
looking at
telemetry
footage.
data. The telemetry data was lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was lost. Not the video footage is fine, but if you played in super speed, then it looks like it's in regular speed, which makes you think it's in slow motion, which was what gives the illusion that they're floating. But the telemetry data, that's what actually got lost. That's what they can't find.
Well,
So they can't prove that the space lander shuttle and the satellite thing were in communication throughout the whole takeoff and landing. You know, that's what they lost.
well,
The communication between
I found
the thing
myself
taking the pictures
I,
and the
f-
thing landing on the
I
moon.
found myself being a strong like they never went on the moon. They never went on the moon. But after going through all this flat Earth stuff, I realised that there's a lot of information that was pushed my way. Like there's a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, and that video
Yeah,
was actually designed to convince people that the moon landings never happened. It wasn't that objective. It wasn't taking an objective stand. It was trying to
yeah, it was
convince
biased.
people. So that makes me
Yeah,
suspicious. I'm like, well, why did they have to use underhanded tactics to convince us it's fake? If it's fake, it's fake. Again, why they try to use underhanded tactics? And then that got me
because it's like
thinking,
a
well, did
religion
it
right
really
now.
happen then? Again, if they're trying to do this, did it really happen? And I'm just confused now with the moon landings. I don't know where I stand with them now.
thank you. That's how I feel, and I get tongue tied a bit when I want to speak about it. For the fact being, as I still believe fully in the globe and, as I said, space and such. So
Mm,
when you bring that part up, that's when they want to attack you. I feel, or not you personally, but people. And yeah, there is some things that we can't, or we can have unjustified. What do I want to say? Disbelief in.
mm. Yep, definitely, definitely. And the way and just logic when I think about it, I think, well, when did they invent the refrigerator? And I was thinking it couldn't have been that long after they went to the moon or before. Again, like certain technologies that was out there, and it just
They
seems so
invented
far
the ice
fetched.
box a long time before they ever went to space to the moon. The ice box was around when there were cowboys and Indians times. You know what I'm saying?
What's the icebox?
Icebox
Icebox?
refrigerator. Yeah, they used to put a big brick of ice in a refrigerator.
All right.
It was an insulated metal box, and they'd put a big brick of ice in it, and then it would keep all the food cold.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first refrigerator. I mean, that was before electricity.
In
when
Canada, we just dig a hey. In Canada, we just dig
Yeah,
a hole in
right.
the ground and shove our food in. It's pretty cold.
it's kind of the same here as well, actually, to be honest with
I can see
you.
Canada from my house, so
But
Oh,
it's
really?
pretty cool
Cool.
to see
We're
this sometimes too.
it was just the technology. Like I was thinking, when you see back then, 1969, the black and white TVs, just the way everything was,
Yeah.
the fact that there was so much propaganda, there was a lot of UFO stuff kicking about, Roswell, all these things
Well,
seem
there
to
was
just.
wireless signaling. There was only like CB radio. That was the most wireless we had, radio waves.
true
So
up.
it's
Yeah,
hard to
that's
believe that
yeah.
they could control and do everything and have all the communication they need so far away in a vacuum. When we've just got wireless, in this last century or decade. So
I don't think it's a complete vacuum. I don't think it's a complete vacuum. I
well,
think
that's
that
what they.
I think that word's thrown around quite a lot in flat Earth, like vacuum, and people just get this image in their head of this vacuum sucking everything that comes near it, and it's. I don't think it's like that.
Me
Well,
neither.
I
And
don't
I
even
think
mean a vacuum like a vacuum cleaner. I mean a vacuum like it's an area of like there's not air and there's not gravity in space. Like there is when you're in the confines of a planet like Earth, it's not a vacuum because there's air trapped in it and there's gravity. But when you go into space, it's just infinite open. There's no way to trap oxygen or gas or gravity in open space. It has to collect in planets and moons and stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's what
yeah.
a vacuum is in space. It's
But
not like a big sucking.
do you think this space is like totally devoid of all particles, like and matter? Like, is the sun not giving off something just because our eyes can't pick it up? Like maybe it looks like blackness, but maybe there's something actually going through space all the time, like something we can't see that from the
Well,
sun.
yeah, there's rays of the sun that hit through our planet that we can't see with our eyes. Our eyes aren't the best. Our eyes can't see everything in this world. They're not made to be able to see all like infrared light and all of that. We can put on glasses and we can have night vision, but our eyes just naturally do not see everything that actually exists in our material world when it comes to light. And in space, yeah, that same light is being spread in all directions from the sun in the vacuum, but you have to have like that. You have to be on a planet and have that centralized position of observation to see all the light collecting around you. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yep.
But when you're in space, it's going so far away from you and around you, you're not really going to see it collecting. So you'll be in the dark even though you're right next to the sun. You see, even though
Hmm.
you can't really be right next to the sun.
Right.
It's hard. It's not. It's being in space isn't like being like if you went in your closet and you turned off all the lights and you turned a flashlight on. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And right next to the flashlight, the light is bright. And then up on the ceiling where the light is shined on, the light is bright. But in between the flashlight and the ceiling, the circle of light on the ceiling, it's kind of not as visible. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
The light kind of, you don't see it as well. You have to look at the centralized position where the light is coming from and what it reflects off of, which would be our planet in this case, which is why we can see it.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Aye, well, I kind of had the same discussion with Osman about that. I was saying that maybe when we go into space, we don't see stars because light, in a way, is invisible, and we only see it because it's hitting off the things that are in front of us, like just the particles in the air. Same with a laser. When you see when you get a laser beam, it's not the laser. It's not the light you're seeing. It's the particles it's actually hitting. It's reflecting off. If
Right.
there was no
The dust,
particles, you wouldn't see
the
the
dust
laser beam.
and the hydrogen and all of that that's in the air. That's why you're seeing. It's the same when the sunbeam shines through the window. It shines through the window every day, but you only see it when it's really dusty and the dust collects in it, and you see
I
the
was just
dust
thinking
sitting
that.
around,
Yeah,
or the cigarette
definitely.
smoke in it, or whatever. Take, but the sunlight beam is always shining through the window, but you only see it when it's reflected off. Your cigarette smoke gathers in it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or if your window's dirty and then it's shining through the dirt on the window, then you can see the light ray. But otherwise, you just see light in general all around. And in space, it would be the opposite. You would just see darkness all around because there isn't anything for the light to be. You know what I mean? Because all the particles are being pulled towards the centers of gravity, which are the planets and the moons and whatnot.
Hmm.
So you have to look at those things to see the particles
The
because
light.
they're not just,
Yep.
around because they've all been collected.
Oh, you're quite up to scratch with your stuff. Dominique, I'm
I was gonna
impressed.
say,
I went to college for
thanks.
anthropology and physics.
I
That's
well,
what I went to
I know
college.
what anthropology is like. The study of bones and how the how you can like separate certain species with certain things and with bones in the face. Well, criminal anthropology, it's like how to build a face, like from like a crime. If you find a skull, you would make the muscle layers and then the skin and stuff like that. Like just knowing the face. And is it mainly the face, or is it bones in the human body in general?
Well, I'm not sure if you're talking about anthropology because the anthropology that I studied was about like, basically the human experience, religion, cultures, civilizations, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But there are other kinds of anthropology. Well, like my anthropology also taught a class called Man and Monkeys or something like that, where he would teach about evolution and stuff. But I didn't take that class. I took the one
So
on
where
religions.
do you stand with that kind of stuff? Do you believe in the Big Bang, or do you believe that we evolved from some kind of ape, or where do you stand with all that then? If you've studied,
Well, I do have a problem like with the accepted theory of evolution. I do think just like, how maps there's a racial bias because we come from a history that had a racial bias. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. I didn't
hmm
have anything to do with it. I wouldn't support anything like it happening now. But there was a racial bias and they created maps with a racial bias, and I think that they created evolution with a racial bias. And so I don't really fully Lloyd Pye is a scientist who was trying to fight this whole evolution theory of evolution because it was holding us back because of the whole missing link thing. And he was saying that there's no way we evolved from this ape because of how many bones we have different, and there are no, people always say there are no evolved apes. The apes aren't continuing to evolve into humans.
hmm
So I just don't think that we came from apes. I'm not going to say that evolution isn't a factor of existence or life, but I don't think that I think human beings have been human beings and they just have been human beings all along. See what I'm saying?
hmm What do you think, Maureen?
I'm being quiet on this one, aren't I? Um, well, this is something that Glenn and he's the opposite to extreme than I am. So I have to say I agree with Daphne to the point that I believe in the Big Bang, but I don't believe that we came just strictly from monkeys. I believe we regenerated up through you know um, atoms and protons and the whole business of mammals and such as that. So I don't believe in the Darwin, but I do believe that we've actually um, have grown, if I say. Now that being said, I also believe in God,
hmm
but not in a
Biblical sense.
right, just in my own space, and
hmm
that's how I have to say it. So opposite of Glenn, yes, but I mean we all have to have opposites to
We could
to
you could easily say the Big Bang was created by God,
yes, that's what
and
I
he's
believe.
not around anymore. He just bang,
Yes,
he's away. Okay, and that's it.
right. But I do get mixed up between, and this is the part where I was hesitant because I don't know really. This is the part where I get really mixed up. Was it humans that were here and then everything else evolved, or
hmm
did we actually evolve? So that's where I kind of get mixed up on what I feel, and I'm still looking into that actually.
Have you did
Well,
you?
see, I have questions about that because there's Sumerian myth that a lot of like Christian myth, like a lot of the stories in the Bible come right out of the Sumerian tablet, which his name is the Enuma Elish, the Sumerian tablet.
Right.
That's got the story of Noah's Ark and the creation of Adam and Eve. It's all in cuneiform writing on this stone tablet. These stories that are in the Bible are right off of those tablets that you can go to
Right,
the museum in New York and you can see these tablets for yourself. So they exist.
definitely,
And
I agree, and that's why, yeah,
so in those tablets, it does not talk about there being a monkey that slowly adapted and changed and became bald. It talks about how there was an intervention between a much more intelligent, much more adapted being and a less adapted being to make a, in between adapted being, which would be the human race.
hmm
You
okay,
know,
that would make more sense. It's something that I just started
And that
to
would
look
basically be
into.
what the Anunnaki were, because the word Anunnaki gets thrown around a lot, but it is an actual thing. It was our name for whatever those things were that came. It means come those who came from the stars. So the Sumerians had this word Anunnaki, and it was the name that they gave to these beings that came from the stars and changed them
Hmm.
into more sophisticated being, and then also enslaved them.
Well, there was a
Wow.
theory I've heard from. This is from coming from mainstream science, and they've done DNA tests, genealogy, and they reckon that Europeans bred with Neanderthals 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
So
every
that
European, every European has got at least 4% Neanderthal DNA. So when I hear these stories, these sort of and Africans don't. If you test modern day Africans, they don't have this gene. So the way I see us is like Europeans are like ancient hybrids. They're like we're half human. We're not even fully human. Like the Africans are probably more
And then
human
we
than
could get into
us.
the whole rhesus monkey gene, which is what makes some people positive blood and some people negative blood, is the existence of rhesus monkey gene in their blood.
Hmm. And sometimes
That's
I
why you get
think
a
like
positive.
the Bible stories is like when you hear the is it the Book of Enoch when they were meant to have bred with the giants and they produced the Nephilim. I was thinking,
Yeah.
could these giants be big Europeans moving from North Europe, breeding with the Middle Easterns, and then the children were classed as Nephilim because they're maybe a wee bit bigger. They're maybe only 6 foot, but back in those days, 5 foot was an average height. So if these
Yeah.
people were 6 foot, they maybe be seen as
Seven,
giants, maybe a
maybe
bit
7 feet.
barbaric, looking like Neanderthals, big brows.
That's probably,
They maybe they bred with the Middle Easterns, and this is where you get this sort of I don't know this sort of hybrid race from the Middle East that seem to have jumped into the Egyptians and things like that. You see this sort of hybrid ginger-haired race kicking about the Middle East, and
yeah.
you're like, where the hell did this come from? And
Yeah, well, you're right, except for that the Nephilim are the giants.
yeah,
That's the only problem that you're having there is you think that the giants bred and then made the Nephilim, but the Nephilim are actually the giants, and the fallen angels are the ones that bred with
all
the
right,
angels,
yeah, yeah,
create the
yeah,
giants.
yeah. Sorry, I got that confused. Yeah, so maybe these fallen angels are like a metaphor for these beings, these white beings. Maybe they look like angels though because they're white, coming down, maybe bigger, breeding with their women, and after maybe so many hundred years, it's like a certain kind of race
They
developed
changed
out
the
of
race.
this. And then maybe
Yeah,
this
they
is where
changed the race
Israel
because
comes
they
from.
are.
Maybe they think they're the chosen race. Maybe this is where these people think they've got a place in this part of the world.
Yeah, you have to think about it like this, okay? Because this is how I always think about it. I always look at mankind, the whole planet, as one being, and then I say, well, then we've probably matured to be about an adolescent. We're about 13 years old as a whole, as if we put the whole race into one being. It was a 13-year-old.
Mhm.
That's about how mature we are overall. And if you see how close-minded people are now, with how much they can actually observe about where we are, just all on their own. They can go outside, they can go on the internet. There's all these sources of data and information. But back in those days, people knew the world to be as big as their world was. They didn't know what was, 500 miles, north from them. They didn't know if people lived there. They only knew their family, their village. So they were very close-minded. So a lot of their stories you have to interpret from a very biased, very small place.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So absolutely, there could have been all kinds of, different people living in all different kinds of regions that they just weren't aware of each other until something happened that caused them to have to meet. Some sort of cataclysm, some sort of,
Well, this is where I was going to go. I
famine.
think there was a major cataclysm in Northern Europe, maybe during the Ice Age.
Caused
Maybe
everybody to
that's what
move.
caused the Ice Age, this major cataclysm. And peoples from Northern Europe, maybe it was warmer before this cataclysm.
Yeah,
And they
maybe
had to
they had to
move.
move.
Maybe they had to move in because everything was dying. Crops. Maybe they had to move further to the equator. Came across these people that they've never met before. They've maybe mixed. Maybe had wars. For 100 years, we don't really know, and maybe these stories in the Bible are
Maybe there was like somebody
products of
came to
this.
power that was a real bad person and he started treating everybody badly. Maybe everybody fled. Maybe it's a bunch of refugees came down south and, you know.
Because I think the mainstream science kind of make it that we all began in Africa, and then like we spread over Africa, and I think certain groups stayed in Africa and certain groups left Africa. Well, apparently the ones that left Africa bred with the Neanderthals produced this, what we are today, the modern Europeans. Because apparently this is where we get the red hair from, because it was a mutation created by severe cold weather, which the Neanderthals apparently lived through during the Ice Age. So, and maybe there was a war between the Neanderthals and modern humans once they came together. Maybe there was rape,
There was a war where all the Neanderthals, except for one was allowed to live, and he was actually made a king, and I can't remember his name right now. But they were all killed off, the Nephilim, because they were an abomination,
Mhm.
right? And so, like in my book, for instance, because there are these mounds that were built all over the world, these big, huge artificial hills, and in some of these hills, you actually find the bones of giants. Giant human beings are within these mounds, and they were built a long time ago, like in the Paleo Indian days. So it's an interesting fact that you would find a mound, and there would be like a few skeletons of abnormal size within these mounds, and then it kind of correlates with this story that's in the Bible of how all the Nephilim were hunted down and destroyed.
Right. That's what makes it
Because there are
confusing. I believe that's what makes it confusing, because you have the organized religion, and then you have the religion where you just have the belief, and then you have, the sciences and the other information. So it's
And
difficult.
then you have the truth.
Yes, thank you.
Exactly.
or the opinion of yourself or your faith, and that's for me, I lead my life through faith, and if I say, just in the belief, but I definitely don't for myself have the belief in organized religion. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with H.P. Lovecraft on that, where he's like, if religion were really true, then why do people have to be, scared and tortured and beaten into believing in it? Why aren't they just set out to the world and just said, find God, because God exists and you will find him.
But
Exactly.
I think if you try and persecute humans, and just like the communist Russia, they tried to take religion away from people, and people wanted it. People wanted
Yeah.
religion, like it or not. There's people that want it.
Exactly. And need
Well,
it
I'm a
sometimes.
very spiritual
Need it.
person. I could never be an atheist, because I believe too much in spirit and being spiritual and trying to be, enlightened or whatever. So I don't need religion, but I do need my own kind of spirituality in order
Exactly.
to feel.
Exactly.
That's been a good chat, guys, and I'm so fortunate to have two lovely ladies on. Like this is unusual for Flat Earth, eh? It's usually a bunch of creepy weirdos sitting there.
Yeah, I actually always feel bad for you, Jed, because it's like there's just not a lot of quality,
Me too.
to be had,
Me
with
too.
Flat Earth and interviewing people and whatnot.
I'm trying to get through people. To be honest, I'm trying to like talk to different people and it's sort of arrange a dream team, like just different characters, and then get them all together and just have a good conversation. Just not about Flat Earth, even all different things, just like what we're speaking right now.
I'd be totally willing to do that if you wanted to put it on a schedule that I can make sure, and then maybe I could get in a room with more light next time and stuff.
Definitely.
But I do
And maybe I'll show my face for a change. Eh?
No, Maureen, I've seen you before.
Honestly, I wish I knew
That's
how to do
cool.
the picture thing, but I don't, so I'm stuck here. Hi. Because I don't know anything about this stuff, so I just clicked a button and then here I was, and I was like, oh boy.
Me neither. I didn't even know if I was showing my face or if Princess Skeptic was showing just the avatar. So here I am. But you know what, Jed?
He was showing his face, but then he chickened out on me, and now I'm the only one out here. I'm the only one on the nude beach today.
Right.
Aw.
Anyway, right. I'm gonna wrap it up with a question for both of you, and then because it's 20 to 3 now a.m. here for me, so it's been brilliant having you guys. This was just a tester. This is a wee bit unorthodox for me. I'm trying to do what I don't know if you've seen P Mars's show, but he does a broadcast on top of a broadcast, so you don't get sniped, even if it gets sniped.
That's why I was telling you about you now, because you can do it through that too, and
Oh,
you can
cool.
stream onto YouTube and Twitch at the same time, I think, through you now.
I've never heard of that.
A lot of YouTubers use it.
Right, I'm going to ask you, Dominique, where do you see the flat Earth going
Oh,
in the next six
where do I
months?
want it to? I don't know. It's probably going to just continue the same way it's been continuing. It's probably got maybe a year and a half, 2 years left. Shelf life.
What about the convention though? I think something's going to. I think a lot of hopes are going to be dashed when this convention comes along. I think a lot of people is
No,
going to.
you know
They've got
what?
these images of thousands of people in this convention all mulling about, and I think it's going to be a flop. To be honest with you.
I don't know about that because a lot of people, they believe what they want to believe, and they could go there and it could be nothing, and then they'll make it up in their head that it was something, and then everybody will be saying it was something.
But just
Or, 1,000 people will go there, and then two people will say something that happened, but nobody saw it. But then everybody will be like, "Oh yeah, I was there, I saw it," but it didn't even really happen. You got to remember that's how people are.
Yeah.
So they'll make it up. They'll make it sound like something really interesting happened, even though nothing happened, and people will just assume they missed it. But then they'll still support it and back it up and say that it did happen and that they were there. Because it's this whole flat earth thing is like worse than cosplayers, not to put cosplayers down, but it's just like it's the ultimate fantasy thing, and if they want the fantasy to continue, they will do whatever it takes to make it continue. If that means shutting out the entire world, I think that's what they would do.
hmm
You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
that's what I'm trying to do, Dominique. I'm not trying to push flat Earth in people's face. I'm just trying to show them that there's other stuff to look at that they need to look at if they want to really believe in something so firm. Like I've seen certain flat earthers drag their kids on camera, and it's like,
Oh,
Jesus, man,
terrible.
you need to research this properly before you start doing that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I was saying this to my missus that I'm sure child protection services are watching. Like,
oh, I
like,
don't know. They have to be huge.
uh,
Child protection service agencies are highly understaffed and highly underfunded. And if they don't get a hint, oftentimes they won't know anything's going on.
right,
So if
but
nobody calls, they're
see,
not going to go out of their way.
see with this, see the Facebook killings and this stuff that's been happening recently with the Facebook killings and ISIS on sending videos and things like that. The way I was looking at it is that Flat Earth can be seen as an anti-authority group, not a religious group, but an anti-authority.
That is something that was really bothering me about Jaron. I always want to call him Duran, like Duran. But Jaron, he was like, there was this one hangout they were doing where they were talking about something like, oh, if somebody was attacked, or they would never suspect a flat Earth, and he said all these really weird things. And if you look at Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer, like their predictions, where they would predict all these terrible tragedies and catastrophes happening to the world. And I'm like, what are you guys trying to inspire here? Are you trying to inspire people to take this flat earth thing to that place? Or are you really just trying to promote camaraderie and open-minded thinking? Because it seems to me like you do say that, but you do a lot more of pushing this sort of, oh, and then there's going to be a war, and then there's going to be famine. You got to get your bug out bag, and it's like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
I would appreciate it if
Like, if you ever saw that Globebusters or whatever, but there was a whole Globebusters where they were talking about a terrorist attack, and then the conversation changed and kind of shifted over, and they were talking about flat earthers kind of being terrorists, and then Jaron kept saying over and over again, no one would ever suspect a flat earther. No one would ever think a flat earther. And then right after that, there was that guy, Bassano, and he went psycho and he was threatening to kill everybody. And I was like, this is all way too suspicious. I'm done with this.
Robert Bassano, he sounds like Denzel Washington.
Robert Bassano, did you see that? Did you ever get a link to that whole thing where he's been videotaped making all these threats to people?
Was it to Bob? Was it to Bob? He was going to go to his work and stuff like that. That's the guy that sounds like Denzel Washington. He sounds exactly like Denzel Washington. Yeah. But I was saying to my missus that that if flat earthers were just turning around saying we believe the Earth's flat because God created this place, and we're happy to know that God created this flat plane, and I think the authorities would look at that and say, right, these are just religious people, just let them believe what they want, and by law we can't impose anything on these people because religion is free to be, like, you're allowed to believe what you want. But if you're a group online saying we need to get these schools taken down, we need the establishment taken down, we need all the books burned, we need this, we need that, I think the authorities are going to look at this whole movement as totally different and as a threat to the power, like to a threat to authority, and I think they're quite happy to keep letting it play on and get more threatening, so they can shut it all down and say, do you know what? You overstepped the line. You were getting extremist. You were getting fanatical.
That'd be a good excuse for them to cut it, right? To cut their losses, blame it on their audience.
That is
right?
my prayer. That is my prayer. I believe
And
it's going to be shut down in about 6
me and
months.
Matt Powerland had an argument because he called me on the phone and he insisted that I go, because of the Mandela effect, which I think is bullshit. He insisted I go and get my Bible and take my Bible and all my Bibles outside and burn them in my backyard. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not psychotic. And we had this huge argument about it. And I'm like, why would you want me to go stand outside of my backyard and burn books for my neighbors and shit to see? Like, that's
Exactly.
not normal, dude. People don't do shit like that.
You get a tap in the door. You get a tap on the door.
I just don't, and then he made that whole book burning video right after that. And I'm like, dude, I tried to get that dude legitimate work, and it just, like, I don't know.
Well, the way I see it is...
I just have to say one thing, Jed. I got to interrupt you for a
No,
moment.
no, when you go, no, you deserve to speak.
Thank you. I just want to say there's a few characters out there, and VB would be one of them. He is a potato pooper, and I got blocked the other day for saying that about, believe her name is Yvette and Snacks, and these people that just keep jumping in pretending they're on the rebel side, but meanwhile they're potato poopers, and that's what I want to say.
You see them in all the chats, Maureen.
Oh, yeah.
You see the same people in the same chats with the same wrenches. Like Yvette, you'll see her in Globebusters, then you'll see her over at Timmy's, and kind of like they're just like little weasels.
He's the only one who has a bunch of fake channels that he uses to harass people. Jaron has fake channels that he uses, and they all do that because that's part of how you support a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
You make fake channels to support your main channel. It's just
or you make them because you're blocked all the time too. That's another
right.
bullshit reason.
Yeah, well, Jeremy, they tried to expose.
But Jed,
talk shit.
I know you got to get going here, Jed.
Yeah, but on you go. You got to say. I was going to say to you, Maureen. What do you see the movement going? Do you see it getting more extreme, and maybe the authorities starting to look at this as more of a fanatical, anarchy-typed, anti-authoritarian group, or do you think the authorities are just going to let it slide as just a bunch of nutcases that are no harm to society? Or is this harm? Is this harmful? And how do you see this?
It's definitely harmful.
And how do you see this in the next 6 months, a year? I don't know. Like, where's it going?
Well, I believe, and that's why I made the phone call. It was just basically to show my point that it just takes one person to pick up the phone, and there is authorities out there. Per se, I don't even know Tag or Dan when I did that, but my point really was just being pick up the phone, people, and start reporting these actions of abuse and, like I said, the cutting and different things like that. I believe it's going to be shut down within 6 months. I truly believe the authorities are onto this.
Well, like you said, the cutting and stuff like that, if they just stuck to the subject like Flat Earth, that's cool. But now, when they talk about this blood over intent and things like that, that's...
There's not enough to talk about with Flat Earth. Like Mark Sargent had that planes thing where there were planes that didn't fly in the southern hemisphere, and I'm like, that's not even true. So most of the stuff that they had that was good thick substance has been thinned out and thinned out and thinned out. Now they don't have anything left. So they're just letting any crazy person come on with Flat Earth and do and say whatever, and it's just like, oh boy, And
and I have to say, even the urine therapy, I worked for a Chinese traditional medicine doctor. And it's definitely been declassed. That was over probably 20 years ago that the Asian people did that. You have to understand they didn't have medications like we do nowadays. But they totally don't believe in that either anymore. So they're just taking things and
what's that more
I
like
believe
bloodletting? Leeches
yeah.
and stuff?
Next there'll be bedwetting and who knows.
That's like the Middle Ages. Let's go back to the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages.
Well, that's the way I see it. That it seems like they want to get us eating a middle-aged diet of vegetables. They want us having a middle-aged education of flat world. Like it feels like even with the internet, the ancients knew the Earth was a sphere, and they never had the internet. So what the fuck's going on that we've got the internet and we can't fucking figure it out?
Mention the Dogon. That's what you should do, Chad. Look out into the Dogon. The Dogon are a race of people, or like a culture of people that live in Africa that have not changed in hundreds of years, and they knew about the star Sirius before anyone else.
Cool.
So you would really probably enjoy
What was
that.
that? Dogon.
The Dogon, yeah,
Nice.
Dogon.
I'll check that out. I like
I
my.
checked that out too.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Maureen, on you go.
they're a culture. They're like the first what's the word astrologers. No, that's not. What's the right word? Astronomers.
Astronomers.
That's the right word.
Astronomers, aye.
Astronomers. Yes,
What was that,
and
Maureen?
they
I was just saying the native peoples too of Canada and the United States, of course, would have these stars and different aspects too. I've taken native anthropology, and I've enjoyed and tried to use that also in my, if I call,
So
rational thinking.
do you think we're recessing in intelligence? Because it seems to me that the ancients knew this stuff, and even with all our technology, we still can't figure it out. Is it maybe too much information rather than like lack of it?
yeah, I think so.
You
I think
definitely,
so.
definitely
But
look at the even the youth nowadays and how the social media has changed, which is good and bad, but has changed their if I say like the bullying and the bashing and the nudity and such as that for the young. I'm gonna say the young teenagers or the young people. It's just it's a different and a hard life now,
hmm
and I believe they
Look at
are
the substance of the music that they have to listen to and the lyrical content of the music of today. It's not like when I was a kid where, I mean, a lot of songs were written like, peace anthems and war songs and what have you, but there was substance and it was thought provoking. Music
exactly.
today doesn't provoke any thought. You know what I mean? Or, spiritualism or, self-reflection. It's just about getting money, being sexy, buying a car, going swimming. I mean,
Well, I
we're
think
not
you
even
hit the right
challenging
word.
these kids.
It's
What's that?
about selfies. I said you hit the right word. It's all about
Oh, yeah.
selfie.
And I'll tell you, I'm 41 years old and I still get bullied on the internet by people who are the same age as me, bully me on Facebook because they think it's okay to call me crazy and whatnot because I'll post flat earth stuff because they don't understand why I do it. But so like people don't really grow up. If they were bullies in high school, they're gonna stay bullies their entire lives.
Well, like I said, Dominique, I'd never had anything against flat Earth. I thought it was a good thing. Because to me, if someone walked up to me in the street and says, "Why do you believe in the globe?" I'd say because I've seen pictures of it, and now I know that that's a shit reason to believe in something
Yeah,
just because you've seen it in a
yeah,
book.
Right.
So flat Earth
hmm
made me go out, do all my evidence, collect all my own evidence for my own belief, and I feel whole. I feel
consider it.
complete now. I
Consider
feel like
it.
I can, if I get pulled up in the street and asked those questions, I can say I've looked at the stars, I've looked at the phases of the moon, I've looked at the water, I've looked at things kind of getting obscured by the water, and to me, I feel better for it, and I thank Flat Earth for that. But the way Flat Earth attack people and the cult mentality and this everything's fake, all the books need burned, it's to me it's going too far now, and this is why I'm kind of still here fighting it. So
Me
I'm not
too.
fighting
That's
people.
why I
I'm not
stepped in.
fighting Dominique. I'm not fighting people like Dominique.
No.
I'm fighting the charlatans and the people that are trying to use people and make money from. I'm not going to call them stupid because I just think they've came across the wrong information, and we've all been there ourselves. Maybe a few of them are stupid and they've just not got intelligence.
Absolutely.
But I think most people
Absolutely.
have got the average IQ and they can figure things out. So I don't tar everyone with the same brush, but
Definitely not. And I believe a lot of them have just the longing for a group. And that's the sad part I see. That is really what affected and still affects me to this day is that longing to belong to a group. And to me, that's right there and then you're not confident in your own beliefs or your own research.
well, you're right there because my missus says I was heartless because I could cut people off like Validation Boy. Validation Boy started accusing me of things, so I just cut him off. I says I'm not speaking to you, and
Right.
that's it. And that was it. I just dropped him like that without
Yeah,
nothing. And I can do that because I have people that care for me in the real world. Like I'm not attached to these people. If I want, I can drop them, and it doesn't affect my real
exactly.
life. But
Right.
Well,
certain
that's why Glenn was able to do what he did as well because he has loving people in his real life as well as I'm going to say friends on the platforms,
hmm
but real life people sometimes make a greater influence, and especially the ones you love. And that's why I
definitely.
believe flat Earth pushes away family and friends.
Exactly. You just hit the nail on the
Yeah,
head. It pushes
they
away.
encourage you to believe that your family and friends are going to think you're crazy if you try to talk to them about the subject, which is an assumption that isn't always true. A lot of
You're right
people are
as
very
well. They're
open
like
minded.
your family members shouldn't accuse you being crazy right away because you mentioned flat Earth as well. You're right. You're right.
And just be like, okay, what are you into? You know?
I suppose it's a
And that's
lesson that
another
we
I
thing.
all.
come from a really
I
big
suppose it's a
family.
lesson for us all that we should be more open-minded to certain things. But when we do see certain things, don't emotionally
Yeah.
react and take it too far. Like just take little pieces at a time and just take your time to before you jump out and say I'm a flat earther. Like take your time and gather the evidence from both sides and try and weigh them out and come to a rational decision without making an idiot of yourself. So we
You
ask
know
it.
what?
Yeah, well,
That
that's
can
the
be
thing.
said.
I gave up on
So,
anger a long time ago. So, anytime now, anytime now I see people get angry, I always think, why be angry? You know, you don't
ah,
have to, you
I agree
choose
with
to.
you.
You look for reasons to incite yourself, and then you choose to, and then you justify. It's a stupid process. Why be angry? If you don't like something, don't like it. It's over. You don't have to,
Hmm.
you know? Anger is not useful, in my opinion. Like, if somebody's in your face trying to rob you, anger might be useful, but it still might blind you. But especially when it comes to just talking about things that aren't really, relative to your financial situation or your health situation, why are you getting angry?
Hmm.
you know because somebody doesn't agree with what you think about a flat earth or a globe earth, or the sky is blue or the sky is pink. It's not a reason to be angry. It's
Sometimes
just
I have
not.
to check
It's
myself
just
as
not
well.
a
Like I hear people saying things and I get a wee bit angry, and you're right. You have to check yourself because when you get angry as well, you become irrational. Maybe a lot of flat earthers
Yeah, because
because
then you
they're
spend
so
more
angry
time
against the globe.
justifying your anger.
Hmm.
Yeah, you spend more time justifying your anger than you ever do like legitimizing any argument you've made or point that you have.
That's a good point.
You justify the reasons to be angry, and it's just a lost cause.
I agree with that. Being even an activist for, I'll say, forests and trees and such scarification, I realized even in the past you have to make yourself be calm in order to rationalize the whole situation, or else you just go with the extremists on activism, and you're not really seeing the whole picture of even there's just taking woodlands for an example, but you're not seeing the workers, the companies, and then the activism. So I try to look at all three or four sides, as I said.
It's the best way to be.
And I had to shoot in my activism for the forest, of course. On
it's,
my last note.
it's good because that's another subject like deforestation and things like that. These are certain subjects that just get swept away because of flat Earth. It's like, well, because
Yeah,
it's an infinite plane, there's plenty of trees on the other puddle. It's like we can pollute the seas if we want because the water's never ending. The rubbish will just float away to the other side wherever it goes. To me,
yeah. Sorry about that whole infinite plane thing. I kind of wrote that whole thing for math powerline. I kind of like wrote the whole infinite plane theory for him, just because I'm a bit of a smart ass and a troll. But yeah, and that's another point I want to make. YouTube used to have a lot of compelling documentaries about a lot of different subjects, and now it's just proliferated with flat Earth bullshit, and
hmm
you can't find any of those good documentaries anymore.
hmm
You know
there
what I'm
was
saying?
there was lots of good ones, Ken. Like things that got you thinking. They weren't as far out as flat Earth, like Hollow Earth. Like I was quite like I looked into Hollow Earth well before flat Earth, and there was a lot of good stuff in it, and harder. It was harder to debunk the Hollow Earth than flat Earth
Yeah,
because it was still a
there were
spherical Earth.
documentaries.
It's just
There were documentaries on how the pyramids were these great sound, like they would make sound, and they were sound chambers, and you would go in there and you would get healed by the tone that the pyramid would make, and just like all kinds of really interesting, fascinating documentaries like that,
or the
about
blocks
like
in
the physics
Baalbek.
and
Is
gravity.
it Baalbek? Like these 1,000-ton blocks, and they've been cut
Yeah,
perfect.
and
These
they were moved with
massive
sound.
blocks.
And they were moved with sound.
I,
That's how they did it.
there was loads of cool documentaries like that that seem to be right in the back burner now because of flat Earth. Flat Earth's took over everything.
Yeah, it's my YouTube experience has greatly changed in the last year thanks to flat Earth. Most everything. If you watch one flat Earth video, it seems to me like YouTube just swamps you then with every flat Earth video, and you can't get any other topics. And it used to annoy me that you would go to the astronomy topic on YouTube, and you would just get a bunch of bullshit flat earth videos. And then if you watch those flat earth videos, a lot of them weren't about science or astronomy at all. They were about that flat earther and his personal business.
Mm.
And I was like, what the hell is this bullshit? Like, really, YouTube needs to police this stuff because they shouldn't be allowed to put their video that's about their personal drama under the astronomy topic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that goes with flat earthers as well? That they just come out with this bullshit, and then do you think they should be sort of policed as well because they're just coming out with bullshit as well?
Yeah, if they label the video flat Earth and then they don't add anything to the flat Earth or reiterate anything about the flat Earth, then it's just clickbait, and that's just rude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just using the flat Earth title to get people watching them sitting in their bedroom while they rant about something they don't like in their life, and that's just stupid. It's you know, you're for one thing, you're not doing a good service to the flat Earth if you support it because you're ruining the flat Earth name.
Mm-hmm.
And for two, it's a waste of everybody's time.
It's so refreshing to hear. It's so refreshing to hear somebody that kind of.
I wanted to talk to you forever, Jed, because you know that video you did where you were watching the Glowbusters, waiting for that map to come out. We were having the same exact fucking experience. I'm like, what the hell is this bullshit? And I watched that video. I was like, me and this dude have got to talk because this is exactly. You had the same kind of sarcasm that I have. That's how I deal with it.
Well, Jeremy,
through sarcasm, like I said.
If you've heard the
and so I was like, I get this dude.
If you've heard the Gem Panda and Jeremy, he says that I kind of say what people think. People are thinking it, and I just say it. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that I can do that. I can relate to people that way. That I can say stuff that they're thinking, so that means we're all on the same wavelength here, and that's
I think
cool.
For a lot of people, you really hit a nerve and you get them really upset, and other people think you're fucking hilarious, dude, because they get it. That's where I'm at. I think you're fucking hilarious because I get it.
I agree.
I've been there. I've gone through the journey just like you have. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly how you feel. So I get it. So I laugh. You know, but other people who are not the same and are too invested in things that maybe they shouldn't be, I could see how you could really get a nerve.
Oh, aye. It's a method. There's method in the madness. I know that I'm either going to be loved or hate because if I'm in the middle, I'll just not get noticed. So I either have to be kind of extreme to get my thought over, my points across, and people are noticing. It's just I've got people's attention now, so it's kind of worked, and I have lost a lot of people. That a lot of flat earthers actually followed me. Eric DeBay was subscribed to me after my piss take it. But he was subscribed to me for ages, and it wasn't until the beginning of the year I started ramping it up a bit against the flat earthers. I kind of got sick of the attack, so I thought, well, you're attacking me, I'll start attacking you. And then DeBay unsubscribed. Lots of flat earthers unsubscribed for me, but.
Well, you're kind of like arch enemies with that Dell, and he's kind of buddy with Dell, so I could see that.
Oh, is he buddy with Dell?
He shared Dell's video on his.
Oh, I suppose he is. I suppose DeBay's the only guy that Dell has really spoke to, the top guys. Do you watch a lot of Dell?
Do I what? No. I watched him a couple of times, but mostly just to troll him for being in his shed and stuff. I watched him a couple of times legitimately to see what his points were, to see if he made any, and then he didn't. So then I just kind of trolled him about being in a shed.
I think a lot of people. Go like that. They agreed with him. They agreed with him the first week. Then they listened to him again, and they went, "Wait a minute, he said that last week." And then they listened to him again, and we're like, "This guy's just repeating and repeating and repeating." It's like
at the end of the day, Jed. At the end of the day, nah, we don't go with Dell. Farmer in the Dell, no. We're not on that.
Not at all. Agreed.
Well, it's been brilliant.
That's his thing. He always says, at the end of the day, he cuts people off and go, at the end of the day, cuts you off.
That's
all I remember about Dell.
So
he cuts people off.
So, have you got anything more to say? And I think it makes people feel a bit uncomfortable. It's like they have to leave. I think they're quite happy they're there, and then suddenly they have to leave. It's like, God's sake. It's like inviting someone in your home and saying, right, what are you wanting? it's like just strange.
You throw yourself a birthday party and they're like, what the hell are you guys doing here? It's pretty bad, yeah.
That's a brilliant analogy. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap up because that's now 3 a.m. for me. And you've been brilliant. Okay. What a refreshing panel I've had here tonight. And it was just because I was no scared to drop the link. Sometimes I'm a bit wary dropping the link in chat because I've got so many trolls. But because of this
Yeah.
setup, I can't really be sniped.
I
So
usually come on and troll your trolls for you. So usually.
I've actually got a good group of guys that do that for me. They're brilliant, man. Sometimes I don't even add a comment because it's just it'll be bullying after a while. It's just a shame.
I just do it to give myself a good laugh, when I got some downtime. I don't have like cable, so it's like YouTube. So then I see some shit and then I'm like, okay, well, I could say this. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm kind of the same. It's like, but I don't do it in comments because all my comments get deleted and blocked. So I do it more on a video. But that's the way I see it. I'm kind of I am trolling them to a certain degree because I want a reaction. I want to see what the reaction is. I troll people. I poke people to gauge reaction because I can gain a lot from their reaction.
Well, yeah, you start out first, you try to have a legitimate, authentic conversation with somebody, and you realize there's no talking to them, and then they're gonna say shit that's insulting to you. So you're like, okay, well, now for the rest of my life, I'm just gonna troll your ass.
I love it. Love it.
Giving you the benefit of the doubt, and then you're just like, oh, you're a slut. You're probably a slut. Okay, never mind. You don't deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, you're so
You know?
you're so right. Right, guys, I'm going to
Hey,
fire away. You've been great. Maureen, have you got any last things you want to say, or have you got any videos
I
coming
just
out?
want to say, actually, I'm gonna maybe do one with Glenn. I've been hesitant to do it just because of how people react and deact around me. I'm gonna say, but I think it's time. And as well as I just had an awesome chat, and you've been both informative and just a pleasure to listen to. So thanks.
And Maureen, you're so clear. You know what you're talking about. And this is what Flat Earth needs. People like Maureen and Dominique, women that know what they're talking about and that aren't so quick to jump to certain conclusions. I find that.
Don't say that, Jed, because Matt used to say that to me all the time and try to get me to make a flat Earth video. And he's like, well, "We need women like you in flat Earth. We need women like you." Now you're saying it.
I'm using yous. I'm evil.
Do we need to hook up, Daphne, and do a chat?
I think you two should contact each other after and maybe have your own hangout because you sound quite similar in your beliefs.
It was great to meet you, Maureen. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, really awesome too. Definitely one day we'll have to catch up and chat. I'm not often, if I say in chat, but I do sometimes. I've been feeling the need more and more lately, just for the fact I have to be that troll. I can't help it.
Well, Maureen, once you get into a couple of hangouts, you start getting used to it. It's nervous. It's nervous to come on these things because you're putting yourself.
It is.
You're putting yourself out to the whole world. And I was laughing at Dell. He's like, "You're interfering with my private life." I'm like, everything I'm seeing's public on YouTube. Yes.
Right.
I think it's the first initiative.
They put all their private shit on Facebook and then they go mind your own business. And I'm like, why is it on my fucking Facebook newsfeed if it's not my fucking business? What's wrong with you? This is your diary. I didn't break into your diary. Turn my computer on.
And you know what? That's about the times we're living now. So I think it is time for me to make a video one day. Mm-hmm. I get a little tongue-tied, of course, it's the nervousness. But now that I've gotten through this one, I believe I'm ready to roll.
Definitely, Maureen. You already sound like you've had a couple of hangouts already. And like I said, we do need more rational people in this. People that aren't totally convinced with the mainstream narrative, because you're still willing to question what the authorities give you, but you're not willing to just deny it all at the same time. You're questioning stuff, and it's good. It's healthy. It's healthy for your intellect. It's healthy for everybody if you can spread that way of thinking. And I just wish there was more of it.
Thanks, Jed. And you know what? There will be, because of all of us putting ourselves out there, and yourself, and just the rest of the mainstream. If they come in,
rubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. You've been brilliant, and I'll see you all later.
If you want to schedule something and we could do something more serious, more planned, that'd be cool. I'd be down.
Cool. Well,
I could get you a room with better lighting.
Well, after this video's been posted on YouTube, I'll write something in the comments and we'll arrange something, or send me a message, guys. I'll send you my email.
I sent you a message before, I think, with my email.
Mm-hmm. The thing is about the YouTube messages, I don't always go on them. I only discovered they were there about 6 months ago, and then I realised there was a section called messages. I was like, messages, and I looked in it and I had all these messages, and I didn't even know they were there. It's crazy. and I've got so many to reply back to.
That's weird that you don't get notified when somebody messages you. I get notified when somebody messages me on
Nah,
YouTube.
I don't get notifications for my messages at all.
Maybe you got to turn it on. Maybe you should
But
look into
but
that.
mind you, I was getting, sometimes I would see someone would send me a message, and then when I try to look through the comments, it wasn't there, so it must have been in the messages. Maybe I just got mixed up. Uh,
Yeah, maybe.
don't know. Right, anyway,
Sometimes
guys.
like you get a notification on a comment that hasn't, but then when you go to check it on YouTube, it's not there because YouTube has a lag. It's the same reason why people complain about views
Mhm.
not going up or
Mhm.
getting stuck. It's because there's a lag in YouTube. So what'll happen is it'll get stuck at like 1,000 for like a day, and then a day after that, it'll just bounce all the way up to 3,000 because there's a little bit of a lag between what you're getting and what you're seeing on
Yep.
your channel.
Yep. Well,
Is what I try to explain.
a good way to check it out is the analytics, because I've seen one of my videos and it's had like 200 views, but when in the
Yeah.
live analytics, it's got 400. I'm like, and then after about 12 hours, it goes up to the normal view count. It's
Right. Because there's a little bit of a lag
Yep.
in between YouTube's processing. And if you refresh it sometimes, if you keep refreshing it
Mhm.
and refreshing it and refreshing it and refreshing it, it'll catch up to
Yep.
itself and you'll see it. But it's just a computer lag. It can't process the data fast enough and post it
But then you get the paranoid
in real
freaks coming
time.
out going,
It's
"They're
posting in
stopping
real
my
time.
views. They're stopping my views. There's gremlins in the internet." Oh God.
Okay, to both of you, peace to you. I'm going to take off. So, Princess Skeptic, we'll be talking soon.
Nice one,
All
Princess.
right. Have a good night, Maureen.
I'll put your links for both of yous in my. Well, have you got a couple of videos, Channel Q? You've got a couple of rocky ones, eh?
Well, they're just mostly for my band because I was in a band, and then so like, they're not really good. There's like maybe that vampire one is somewhat decent. People think it's artistic, but I'm not really a video maker. I just like there were some live videos of my band playing that I kind of shared with that. And then I made like a lyric video for one of our songs. And it's just like, I don't really take my YouTube
Awesome.
channel real serious.
Right.
I usually just use my YouTube channel to watch other people's YouTube channels.
Cool. Cool. Well, we'll see you back
But I
here
do a
anyway.
couple
If we
videos
don't
of
see any,
those.
we didn't see any videos from you, we'll see you back here. I hope.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
I whenever I have time, if you're on, and I'll jump in. But I don't really have a lot of time in my life for YouTube stuff. Saturday night's a good night for me though.
Cool. Cool. That's when I usually do my hangouts anyway. So that's great, guys. Right. Anyway, like I said, I'll wrap it up at that. But it's been, God, the times just flew. The times just flew.
Well, that's what happens when you have fun.
Right.
Exactly.
Have a great weekend, guys. And I'll see
Yeah,
you
you too.
later.
Yeah,
Jen.
you
Thank you
too.
so much.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye bye.
How awesome was that? How jealous are yous guys having two lovely ladies like that? Right. Anyway, like I said, I'll wrap it up at that. But it's been, God, the times just flew. The times just flew.
Well, that's what happens when you have fun.
Right.
Exactly.
Have a great weekend, guys. And I'll see
Yeah, you
you
too.
later.
Jen.
You
Thank
too.
you so much.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye bye.
How awesome was that? How jealous are yous guys having two lovely ladies like that? Guys, do you watch a lot of Dell?
Do I what? No. I watched him a couple of times, but mostly just to troll him for being in his shed and stuff. I watched him a couple of times legitimately to see what his points were, to see if he made any, and then he didn't. So then I just kind of trolled him about being in his shed.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people go like that. They agreed with him. They agreed with him the first week. Then they listened to him again and they went, "Wait a minute, he said that last week." And then they listened to him again and were like, "This guy's just repeating and repeating and repeating. It's like
At
a
the end of the day, Jed. At the end of the day, nah. We don't
have to leave. It's like, God's sake, it's like inviting someone in your home. It's just
you throw yourself a birthday party and they're like, what the hell are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
Pretty bad, yeah.
That's a brilliant analogy. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap up because that's now 3 a.m. for me. You've been brilliant. What a refreshing panel I've had here tonight. And it was just because I was no scared to drop the link.